Nope, my name's not Tom. I'm the lawnmower lady, and I like fixing small engines. This Yard Machines right here is in for a quick little tune-up. The guy that owns it has only used ethanol-free gas. He's done very little maintenance on it, and the mower gets used quite a lot, actually. Still has the original spark plug in it. It's from 2012, I believe, sort of a crossover when they were moving to the newer version of their EX engine. It doesn't have overhead valves. It still has the flathead engine on there. I just started it for a few minutes to warm up the oil. Gonna drain the oil, quick tune up, sharpen the blade, follow along. Gonna get this oil draining and take the blade off at the same time to sharpen that. Yep, not a lot of oil. There it comes. So we can tilt it a little bit more. Try to get this to tilt over a little bit more. It's low, but it's coming out. All right, before I take the blade off, I am going to remove the spark plug. Should be cooled off by now. And you can tell that's the original spark plug. Has the paint all over it. The Briggs & Stratton logo. All right, this is a 16mm socket on my impact. If you don't have an impact, you just use a piece of wood, hold it down with your foot, and a breaker bar does the same thing. There we go. And this blade has some pretty bad chunks in it, so we sharpen that up. I don't think it's the original blade because it looks too new with the age of it, but it needs some help. It's kind of loud, so if you got something for your ears, wear it. I try to maintain that same angle, probably about 30 degrees. Get the burrs off with a hand file, and I normally don't bother too much up on this mulching part because it never really gets dull. That's a whole lot better. Now I'm going to balance this blade with one of these little teeter-totter little things, but the problem with these blades with the bow tie thing is that it really won't sit flat. So what I have done, if you see very carefully, is I've filed down the edge of a couple of these steps so that the two notches in the center will sit right on that step and not wobble off. I'll show you how that works. Now the idea is to get it to fit on one of these steps evenly, because if it's not centered on there, it will give you a false reading. I would say that if it's anything, it's going to be just a hair heavy on that side, but you know, this is a lawnmower, not the space shuttle, so I think I'm good with that. All right, you can always follow along with the witness marks, but the beveled cut side always goes towards the deck. I always try to put a little grease on metal to metal stuff. Hope that'll cut down on the rust and corrosion. Not a lot, just a little smear. And always inspect and make sure these little nibs have not been knocked off. I'm going to use my torque wrench to tighten this down to 45 foot-pounds. And if you don't have one, you can use a breaker bar. Just don't jump up and down on it. You can buy some inexpensive torque wrenches from some big box stores. And I'm using a piece of wood to keep the blade from turning. Hold my foot on there. There it goes. That was 45 foot-pounds. I don't know if you heard that or not, but it clicks when you reach the proper torque. That's it. If you are new to torque wrenches, you always want to store them at 0. Especially these clicker types. You don't want to extend those springs any. All right, I've got it back up on the bench here and I'm going to get oil back in here. The owner's manual, I think, calls for 16 to 20 ounces. I pre-measured another jug and I have it at about a half a liter or so, just a little over 16 ounces. It's a lot easier to add oil than take it back out again. So pull all this in here and then we'll check the oil level. This is just a 10W30. Check your owner's manual. Or it might be different in the region of the world where you live. Yeah, and as you can see, it says it right on the dipstick, 20 ounces, 591 milliliters. And the full mark, there are 2 holes on your dipstick. The bottom hole is add. The top hole is full. And that's really only about 4 ounces of difference between there, so it's not a lot. It's very easy to overfill. Briggs & Stratton, you do need to push it all the way in to check it. And as you can see, there's still a little bit of oil on the outside of the tube, but it is just right above or right at the top of that full mark. So I think that's a great level. On the back side, it looks like it's overfilled, but you can see right there. See that little reflection right there, hopefully in the light. It is just below that top level. I think that's good. Before I leave this side, I'm going to try to lubricate the cable. I do notice there is a kink in this cable. I think somebody has turned over the this machine, the handles. And this is a product called Triflow, which is what I like to use. It's kind of pricey, but the bicycle guys use that. Operate that a couple of times. And a little of the same in the top. Try to get as much as I can up here so it might work its way down to that kink. And lastly, this style of cable isn't so great, so I'm going to put a tie wrap on there, so hopefully that'll cut down on some of that tension. Trying to operate this with that bend in it. Yeah. Hopefully that will be better. A few drops of oil on the wheels and the mechanism that adjusts the wheels. Prop it up with a 2x4 or something. It will work its way into there. Next thing is this spark plug. This is a 21 millimeter. You can also use a 13/16. I prefer this is a magnetic socket, which I prefer than the ones with the rubber boots. And this is the original spark plug. As you can tell, it has paint, factory paint on it, Briggs & Stratton logo, and it's pretty well sooted up, no doubt. I bet there's a really clogged up air filter in here. This is an RJ19LM. It's a Champion plug. This is the replacement for this. I'm going to check the gap on this plug. It's supposed to be an 030 inches. This is what this feeler gauge is, but it feels pretty good. If you don't have a feeler gauge, use the backside of a Stanley knife. That's also 0.030 inches. That actually feels, there's a little bit of drag on that, so that's good. Always start these by hand. And once you get it seated all the way, So I'm going to go no more than 1/4 of a turn. All we're trying to do is compress this crush washer right here when it's new. If you go too far, could damage the threads in the head. Last thing is check inside the spark plug boot. That looks clean. There's no rust or corrosion in there. Snap that back on. You hear the positive click. All right, this is an 8mm. You can also use a 5/16. And a little bit of blowback in there. Kind of dirty. And then, yep, well, no wonder that spark plug was so bad. I'm going to blow this out with some compressed air, try to clean this up a little bit. If you don't have shop air, a rag or whatnot, just be mindful that the air intake is on the bottom side right here. This is Briggs & Stratton part number 491588S. And this fits in there. And you also want to make sure these 3 tabs go in these slots right here. Make sure that fits in there tight. Those 3 tabs in, and hinge that guy up and tighten that back down. And before I leave here, I want to point out when they changed the design, this entire plastic back, these parts are actually hard to come by, and you want to make sure that both of these are tight, not loose, because that extra play, once these brackets get broken with that extra play, it's hard to find a replacement for these. So I'm going to clamp off this fuel line with these little vice grips, got little rubber things on them. So I'm going to pull off the bowl nut to see what the inside looks like. I'm sure it's going to be clean as a whistle because, again, the guy never used anything other than ethanol-free fuel. All right, I don't like using my ratchet up under here because it gets all covered with gasoline, but it's about the only way to do it. And as you can see, a little bit of fuel dripping out of there. Clean as a whistle. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. No water, no bubbles, no nothing. And no evidence of any goop or anything in there. This is a set of tip cleaners for like a MIG welder. Get whatever size will fit through there. Oops. And again, not a problem at all. So, here's what happens when you run your machine with ethanol-free fuel. Nothing. That's what happens. It runs great. It doesn't clog up your carburetor. It's a thing of beauty. I'm going to remove the the hose clamp, and make sure there's no leaks there. I don't think there is. Now, when I fired it up earlier, I did notice that the RPMs were low, so that bracket right there, I'm going to actually bend that out to put more tension on that spring, and I'm going to increase the RPM, but you'll see me doing that. I'm going to fire this back up. I realize ethanol-free fuel might not be an option where you live. You can mitigate some of that by not leaving fuel in your mower more than 30 days. Keep it clean. Good job. So if you can get ethanol-free fuel where you live, please do that for all your small engines. You saw how clean that main jet bowl nut was on the inside of that carburetor. All the difference in the world. I'll post a link right here to a video on a little more detail of how I sharpen blades if you're interested in that. If you like this video, please push the like and subscribe button and I can make more of these videos. If you have a newer yard machines, watch this video right here on how to tune that up. Mow happy!